The main focus of this article is taking into account the parenting styles of a mother and a father, and basically how the division of labor in that home would affect their child. So basically, starting off, it basically stated that with the birth of the first child, the division of labor becomes much more traditional, and the way that the marriage functions, the roles that were originally there, they change, and they become less egalitarian and more traditional. The division of labor has been like widely studied in research, and that's basically how the authors got to this point where they wanted to examine the divisions of labor, and then they eventually found that that could affect parenting styles, and basically there could be a link between the type of how the labor is divided, and basically how that affects the parenting style. Like egalitarians would be perceived to be more lenient in parenting style and stuff like that. So the division of labor is basically connected to, like I said, the parenting style, and there's like the parenting style. If it's like more controlling, you think of discipline, supervision, and then versus emotional types of division of labor, and then it would not the parenting style. It's thought of to be more warming, more sensitive, and stuff like that. Then it was a couple of theories were proposed concerning social stuff, social and gender, social and gender, and social environment and gender, and basically how they affect children, and how it affects children growing up, and how they see how they develop their gender roles and stuff like that. Basically it meant like if people grew up in an egalitarian household, they would be more likely to get in an egalitarian relationship themselves. And the most focused point of this literature review was on the children's perspective of their parents, connecting the parenting style to the division of labor in the household that they perceived when they were there. In the methods section, participants were asked to estimate their parents' division of labor. They were asked to rate their moms and dads separately, and basically this would draw out any bias, and you could really get a distinction of seeing the couple together versus seeing the couple like in separate roles. And in another section that the authors used, they had a rating scale too, in which they differed from before, because they had more of a questionnaire type this time. And there was also a scale focusing on like gender and the attitudes around it, and basically getting participants' perspective on the roles women and men play in a relationship. The results of this experiment, or like the paper, basically showed in parenting styles, whether a parent was strong or lenient, there was really no specific association between a mother's parenting style, like specifically towards the mother, and either parent sharing childcare. So basically they looked at childcare too, and the division of that, and they saw no connection with the mother separately. But for fathers, when the relationship was more egalitarian in the household, the fathers were looked at to be more authoritative and more strong in the relationship. So they were, in this case, fathers were more primarily associated with the division of childcare rather than the mothers, where there was no association. And basically, there was also like no differences shown between traditional and egalitarian households regarding regarding many factors, like whether childcare was asked questions alone, or whether childcare and housework questions were combined. Like, they basically used different strategies to prove that no differences were shown between traditional and egalitarian gender attitudes in this situation.